From WFRV TV Local 5, Green Bay, Fox Cities, and the Lakeshore, this is Newsmaker Sunday.
Good morning. Welcome to Newsmaker Sunday. I'm Tom Zalaski. This morning, a look at an invisible group that lives among us, and you might say they're hiding in plain sight. We start with a startling statistic this morning. There are more than 17,000 homeless youth in Wisconsin schools. That's 17,000. That's according to the most recent data from the Wisconsin Department of Public Education. November is National Runaway and Homeless Youth Prevention Month, and an initiative has been launched to spread awareness about that issue. And joining us this morning, Beth Hudak from the House of Hope in Green Bay, and Summer Schwartz from the Boys and Girls Club in the Fox Valley. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Much
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
17,000. I just can't get over that figure. A lot of us are not even aware that these kids are out there. November, National Runaway and Homeless Youth Prevention Month. How do both of your organizations work to bring awareness to this issue? I'll start with Beth.
Sure thing. So House of Hope provides emergency shelter and supportive services for youth and families with children experiencing homelessness. I think a lot of people imagine that homelessness is something that happens in other places, but all of the research and all of the statistics show that homelessness is happening in Green Bay just as much as it is anywhere else. In the last school year, 1 in 26 students enrolled in Green Bay area public schools were reported as homeless.
Summer, Girls and Boys Club, what are they doing?
Yeah, so we do one-on-one case management. We go into all the local schools and give prevention education presentations to high schoolers and middle schoolers, letting them know that this is happening. There's a lot of, not in my backyard, like Beth said, like it doesn't happen here in the Fox Valley and in Green Bay. So it's a lot of educating the community and youth and letting them know that this is happening here and spreading awareness so we can get these youth connected to resources.
How big is this problem? I mean, when I first said 17,000, I thought that was going to be a nationwide figure, but it's Wisconsin. And these are just the cases that we know about, right? There have to be more out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of ones that don't come forward. There's a lot of maybe embarrassment and some shame in coming forward, so we don't have a lot on paper. I always tell kids when we're presenting that this is the number we have on paper, but we have to recognize that there's probably a gap in this number because people don't come forward. So there's more that we're not seeing, but they're there.
We've often heard the term couch surfing. For those who might not know what that is, what's couch surfing, and are these kids doing that?
I would say a significant number of the kids that we're seeing who are experiencing homelessness are couch surfing.
What is that?
It means that they don't have a permanent residence. They're hopping between friends' houses, adults they know, but then also, maybe they've outstayed a welcome on someone's couch that can put them in a really dangerous situation when they don't have another place to go.
And what do you think is behind this? I mean, is there one major cause? Is it a series of causes? Why are 17,000 kids out in the streets?
There is a lot of causes.
Yeah.
A lot of it is family concerns. Maybe there's some sort of abuse or neglect happening at home. We see a lot of, right now, we're seeing a lot of family intolerance for our LGBTQ plus kiddos. They're getting kicked out. They're turning 17 and 18 and their family doesn't have the means to provide for them anymore, so they're kind of put out on their own. We see a lot of different reasons this is happening to our kids.
We also see some kids who are concerned about the overcrowding in their home. Maybe they have quite a few siblings, and so they feel responsible for making sure that their siblings have a bed to sleep in and will leave the home to make sure that it's easier for their parents to support the children that are younger than them.
All right, so just some basic questions that I thought of when I knew you two were coming here. What is life like for these kids? I mean, how do they eat? Where do they shower? Where do they do homework? Do they even care about homework because they're in this situation? What do they do? How do they live?
I mean, that's a big question.
Yeah.
One of the hardest things for these young people is that if they're under the age of 18, they don't qualify for any benefits. So they don't have the option of food share or something like that to help them access food. So it's a lot of them eat at school. A lot of schools provide free and reduced lunch for breakfast, for lunch, and will give like a snack for after as well.
Yeah. I mean, these kids, they're really living day to day. They never know what the next day is going to kind of bring them and but they're smart. They're going to find their resources. They're going to utilize their friends. They're going to utilize school. They're going to find organizations like ours, get connected, so that we can connect them to further resources in the community. But yeah, they're smart kids, so they know how to utilize their community and their friends and their support systems for what they have. So,
do their teachers know that they're in this situation? Does a teacher stand in the classroom and go, I know Sally and I know John and I know Jim don't have a home to go to today?
Teachers are often our best resources for referrals. Teachers are the ones who see these kids every day. They probably spend more time with a lot of kids who are enrolled in schools than sometimes their parents do. So teachers see when things like this happen. There is a program called the McKinney-Vento program in Green Bay Public Schools, in every public school system, and it's the Youth Homeless Liaison program. So every youth experiencing homelessness can get connected with a case manager or a worker through their school, who can then refer out to programs like at House of Hope or the Boys and Girls Club.
So how would a teacher know?
It could be really anything. It could be behavior. It could be...
they hear everything, right? They see them every day. They hear them talking to their friends. Teachers really are like, they're in the schools and they're seeing everything and they're hearing everything. So, you know, they hear things when kids are talking in class. But also, like, you can see it in their behavior sometimes. Maybe they're not coming to school, or maybe they're spending a lot of time at school because that's their only safe place. It looks a lot of different ways, and teachers, they hear things from other kids and can get the information too. And a lot of the time, teachers are the only trusted adults that these kids have, so they open up to their teachers and tell them these things.
Do other kids know?
Sometimes, but sometimes not. You know, I mean, it really just, I think, depends.
Yeah. If they're ever working with one of our programs, though, we're both completely confidential, so they wouldn't necessarily know they were working with one of us. But again, you can't. It just depends on the situation, I think.
Right. You can't tell from looking at someone
Right.
whether or not they're experiencing homelessness. And as Summer had mentioned earlier, sometimes it's an embarrassing reason why kids are no longer in their homes. And so maybe their friends don't know. We've had situations where kids living in shelter at House of Hope have actually not been able to see their friends anymore because their friends' parents have said, oh, well, she's homeless. You can't hang out with her anymore. So oftentimes it's not a really great, you don't really want to tell people that that's what's going on.
Do these kids try to hide it?
It depends, I think. We have some kids that we work with that are just willing to get any help, and they're just open to it and they're willing to tell their story. And then we have other kids who, it may take a little bit more for them to come and ask for help. They may try to hide it a little bit more, but it really depends on the kid and how they feel about it. So.
Just mind-boggling. We have much more to come on the problem of homeless youth right after this, so please stay with us.